and good health is a duty. Otherwise, we shall not be able to keep our minds strong and clear. This was said by Buddha. To learn the ways of the Buddhist medicinal uses, we should understand the religion and the way of life in general. Some believe it as a religion, while others see it as a way of life. Either way, to sum it up, Buddhism must have 3 values followed. Lead a moral life, be mindful and aware of your thoughts and actions, and develop wisdom and understanding. Buddhism, which means to awaken. This religion originating 2,500 years ago when Siddhartha was known as the Buddha. Been awakened in Buddhism because of the life that he taught, also because of the wisdom and mindfulness of his own stories. He taught people and gave lots of advice. Temples to worship Buddha. Although it is possible to do at home in a room with a shrine and incense, but the temples are made into many different shapes to symbolize the 5 elements: fire, water, earth, air, and wisdom. Wisdom symbolized by the peak at top. All temples have statues or pictures of the Buddha. To worship him there are many different ways, as the many different sects of tradition. For the Mahayana, they devote to the Buddha by sitting on the ground barefoot, facing an image of Buddha, chanting. They will listen to the monk and take part in prayers. Buddhism originated around 6th century BCE in Lumbini, Nepal. There are many different forms and styles of Buddhism because of how it has traveled from country to country and how cultures interpret it. But the majority is found in India, where it has originated and mainly practiced. It all started with a warrior of the Hindu caste system revolted and attained enlightenment under a peepal tree. This is when he had awakened and became immortal, so he had no more rebirth for him. He soon was known as the Enlightened One, and also obtained followers and gave small sermons of his belief. Once he was the enlightened prince, he had turned the wheel of Dharma 3 times. On the first turn, he had a dream or vision of the Hindu gods and of the 4 noble truths. The 4 noble truths were the truths about suffering, its cause, the cessation, and its path. The negatives and truths about suffering in life is natural and part of evolution, such as rebirth, aging, sickness, and death. He taught how to stop the cause of temporary deep suffering by keeping the mind free of ignorance. His beliefs and rituals are intended to aid in the journey of enlightenment, as well as lead to blessings of others and self. Buddha believed in co-origination and interrelationship. Who sees this, sees reality, or Dharma. This means that Buddha strongly believed in working together and being dependent. Because there is no self, everything depends on everything to survive, and nothing can survive on its own. The 4 noble truths are based upon the physical sufferings in life. Sufferings in life includes death, sickness, and old age. The first is to realize that life is suffering. We must suffer to live. We cannot live without suffering. We have to endure physical suffering like sickness, injury, tired, fatigue, old age, and eventually death, and we have to endure psychological suffering like loneliness, frustrations, fear, embarrassment, disappointment, and anger, etc. The second is that all suffering is caused by a craving. When thinking about a psychological suffering, it is easy to understand because when we want something we cannot have it, we become upset or frustrated. When somebody does not meet expectations, it causes us to feel let down and disappointed. Even when we get things we want, we often become bored of that thing. The second noble truth tells us to limit our wanting and craving, and that getting what you want doesn't always guarantee happiness, because it only leads to letdowns and disappointments and deprives us of contentment and happiness. The third noble truth states that suffering can be overcome, and happiness is possible. It is important to know that the Buddha reassures that happiness and contentment can be attained somehow. When we give up useless craving and learn to live each day at a time, enjoying life without restless wanting things that life offers, enduring the problems that life involves without fear, hatred, and anger, then we become happy and free. Then and only then do we begin to live fully. Because we are no longer obsessed with satisfying our own selfish wants, we find we have so much time to help others fulfill their needs. This state is called nirvana. The whole secret of existence is to have no fear. Never fear what will become of you. Depend on no one. Only the moment you reject all help are you freed, was said by Buddha. Have no fear and live your life. A good way to reach enlightenment is to start living the right way and believing and understanding the 4 noble truths. Then one must abide by the Eightfold Noble Path, which consists of perfect understanding, perfect thought, perfect speech, perfect action, perfect livelihood, perfect effort, perfect mindfulness, and perfect concentration. Being a Buddhist practice consists of practicing these 8 things until they become easier and complete in your life. You'll notice that the steps on the Noble Eightfold Path cover every aspect of life, the intellectual, ethical, social, and economic, and the psychological, that therefore contain everything a person needs to lead a good life and develop spiritually. Buddhists also believe in reincarnation like the Hindus and Jains. In this belief, it is possible to be reincarnated to any living soul, whether it is human, an animal, a plant, or an ultimate spirit. It is believed that the better and purer life that is lived, the better reincarnate they will get. Once a Buddhist has awakened or enlightened or reached nirvana, he or she will not have to go through rebirth again. But if one lives an ignorant life, and the worse the rebirth will be, and will not reach nirvana. In order to reach nirvana, one needs to follow the 4 noble truths, not be ignorant or fall into temptation, also to be. Proof of being selfless, most men and women shave their heads in order to not look beautiful. To remain selfless, they are taught to avoid temptation and avoid desirables. Once a person falls into temptation, they enter the Buddhist idea of the feedback group. This means that the material or organism that is wanted has been seen, they taste it or feel the object and receive a sensation. Their conscience tells them that it is good or delicious, and then they want more. It is a continuous cycle. In order to reach enlightenment, Buddhists have a constant cognitive discipline to follow the noble truths and avoid cravings. Meditation is used in all forms of Buddhism. It is derived straight from Buddha and is used to cleanse the mind of all desires and cravings that are sinful. Buddha left his life of luxury to sit and meditate and find solutions for the poor and ailing people. It leaves the mind in a controlled balance, and is a conscious way to change how the mind works, and avoid temptations and find solutions. This aids in many Buddhists to avoid getting sick because they are solitary and avoid certain situations and control their body. There have been many stories of people to change their temperature of their body in Tibetan Buddhism, meditating to stay warm in the cold climates, or even to live and thrive off of the sunshine instead of. The majority of Buddhists are rather healthy because they try to live a good lifestyle, full of self-control as prescribed by Buddha. In the sutras, it is said that Buddha is described as the doctor, knowledge of the Dharma as medicine, and monks as the nurse staff, and all people as the patients. Buddhists believe it is not enough to approach the idea of medicine in a manner that simply eradicates symptoms, but the spiritual aspect of disease and its mind-based causes and remedies must be the primary consideration. According to Indian medicine, diseases are caused by 7 internal and 6 external elements. The internal elements are extreme levels of happiness, anger, anxiety, a ruminating mind, sadness, fear, and shock. The 7 internal elements are also referred to as emotions. These are believed to cause illness because they directly impair the healthy functioning of the 5 main organs of human beings. A healthy and balanced emotional life is essential in maintaining one's physical health. Extreme levels of either happiness or fear damage the heart. Anger harms the liver, and anxiety harms the lungs. A ruminating mind can affect the spleen, and shock can hurt the kidneys. The external elements are the coldness, summer heat, dryness, heat. Buddha claims that ignorance can have a large effect on the body as well. Sitting for too long and being lazy causes bed sores that can become infected. Eating too much causes gluttony, obesity, high cholesterol, and high blood pressure. Postponing urination and excrements, excessive sexual desire, incorrect meditation can all be corrected by proper diet, being aware of your body, getting plenty of rest, and having a clear mind. Imbalance of earthly elements, water, earth, fire, and wind, demon possession, disturbances of spirits, and a force of bad karma can cause illness. In this case, a person needs to purify their life, work on being a better person, creating better karma, and doing good deeds. Buddha originally taught medicine to a group of followers. He allowed monks to visit with the doctors and carry medicines. He later taught Gyojshi, which are 4 medical tantras from the foundation of Tibetan medicine. This system is focused on healing the patient's body and mind with the help of certain medicines, diet, and therapies to end the result of mental negative thoughts and desires. He believed that somatic or physical medicine is just not enough to uproot the cause of the disease. Buddha taught his followers to be aware and stop negative feelings before they start. Although following these Tibetan tantras, he still believed that somatic or physical medicine is just not enough to uproot the cause of the disease. So Buddha taught his followers to be aware and stop negative feelings before they start. As for mental health, greed, anger, and ignorance are understood as the three gravest psychological diseases. The Buddha taught that greed could only be cured by the contemplation of impurity, anger by the contemplation and practice of kindness, and ignorance by the contemplation of the true nature of all things and the cultivation of wisdom. These are the medications that Buddha encouraged everyone to use in order to heal the diseases of both body and mind. In Buddhism, the mind needs to be freed from the cage of ignorance and delusion in order to be free. Western American medicine typically approaches illness through physical symptoms. This approach is supposed to reduce the suffering and remove the symptoms for a period, but a lack of symptoms does not mean that the root cause has been identified and removed. Therefore, the complete elimination of the disease has not occurred. Buddhism offers patients not only symptomatic relief, but also spiritual guidance to ensure overall and long-lasting health. Buddhism has played a large part in turning the science of medicine into a more holistic approach. The way we approach medicine today, uniting spirituality with medicine, allowing the patient's rights respected, which helps emotional, mental, and spiritual sides of the patients, taking into regard the patient's feelings and beliefs while caring for their body. Even when China heard about his ways, they blended the idea with their practices, and through many improvements and modifications by different Buddhist experts, past and present, which created the Chinese holistic medical system that exists today. Buddha started studying the science of religion at a young age. According to the sutras, a famous physician named Jikama further advanced Buddhist medical practice and mastered additional skills by learning from the Buddha and following Buddha's instructions. Jikama performed several incredible surgical procedures, earning a respectable reputation in the medical field. One of his well-known operations involved the repair of an obstructed colon. Jikama performed the surgery using a sequence of techniques similar to Western practices such as administering anesthesia, opening the abdominal region, repairing the colon, and finally closing the incision with stitches. Through a trained physician, Jikama had a better understanding of the medicinal field by following Buddha's medical and spiritual guidance. It's a very stressful job to be the caretaker of somebody. When their lives are in your hands, constantly under 24/7 care, teamwork is needed. When one member of the team falls apart or gets burnt out, the care of the patient can be hindered. Buddha identified caretakers as monks, nurses, family, friends, and others looking for the safety, care, and overall condition of somebody. Buddha gave advice to the caretakers so that patients get the care they need and deserve. Some advice he included was to ensure that the patients are attended to by good-hearted and skillful doctors. Wake up earlier and go to bed later than the patients. Remain alert to the patient's needs. Speak to their patients in a kind and compassionate voice when they are feeling depressed or uneasy. Feed the patients with the proper food in correct amounts and intervals according to the patient's condition and the doctor's instructions. Also, talk with skill and ease about the Dharma with patients, instructing them the proper health care for their body and mind. Buddha strongly believed in teamwork efforts from the doctors, nurses, and patients to get the best results from a treatment.